All right, welcome to episode 29 of our String Quartet listening series. It's almost been a month since we embarked on this journey, and this will be the last episode of String Quartet. The piece for today is technically not a piece for string quartet. It's a piece for accordion and a string quartet. And it's by Javier Torres Maldonado. Earlier on in the series, we listened to the first movement of his second string quartet, and then a couple days after that, we listened to the entirety of his first string quartet, which was about 19 minutes long, and the first long episode. And this piece is a little bit different. It's in 6 movements, which range from 1 minute long to 5 minutes long, and the whole thing's only about 17 minutes. And it has an interesting way of splitting up the ensemble depending on the movement, and it also has some staging directions which add a bit of theatricality to the piece. So I haven't listened to this piece since 2018, and I heard it in the context of one of Javier's master classes at a workshop called Domaine Forget in Quebec, and I remember really liking it, and of all the pieces he shared, I think it was my favorite when I first heard it. So I am excited to revisit it, but I'm fully prepared for it to be a different experience because I have very different ears now. It's been just under 10 years. The staging, although we won't be able to see anything listening to these recordings here, the staging is as follows. We start with the string quartet arranged almost normally, but with the violist off to stage right. The accordion player enters from off stage playing a solo, and it enters on stage left. Movement 2, the violist and the accordionist, which are opposite one another, play a duo, and as they do so, the violist moves to their proper location amongst the ensemble. Movement 3, everyone plays together. Movement 4, everyone plays together, but the accordionist moves behind the ensemble to the back and to stage right. Movement 5, just the cellist has a solo. It's about 2.5 minutes long. Movement 6, we have the full ensemble and the accordionist moves forward, staying on stage right. And that's it. So there's not a lot of other program notes here. I'm assuming that a lot of the extended techniques will be clear in the score itself. Here's what the first movement looks like, a couple lines of it. And you can see that it's pretty extreme atonal writing for this accordion solo with some extended techniques, extreme dynamics, and extremes of register. So, yeah, I don't know much else about this piece, so I think we should just get into it, and anything that comes up, I'll discuss it later. And if you are being introduced to this piece for the first time, the link to this section of the composer's website is in the description, and I hope you enjoy this performance. It's by the Terpsichords String Quartet, and it's the premiere recording from the Lausanne Festival de Musique Contemporaine from 2002. All right, so that was a great listen. And before I get into any sort of interpretation, I'm just going to translate the titles of the different movements. Okay, so these should be pretty straightforward. The whole piece keeps referring to this angel. So the first movement, which is again is just accordion, contemplation of the angel, and then fragment of the night of the angel. This is the duo. Insomnia without the angel, so you can't sleep. Then the night of the angel. These are both tutti movements, and then this is the interesting title, in my opinion, the Fantasia that the angel played. So this is like a song within a song or a story within a story kind of moment. And then this is the like flight of the angel, like ascending away. So it sort of tells like this visitation of a supernatural being. And yeah, I kind of like that. There was lots of moments in this that seemed otherworldly, and it was difficult to grasp. Like the sounds between the ensemble and the soloist were so inventive, it was hard to grasp what was going on. And I like that the big solo moment is really for the cellist. It's not for the accordionist. The accordion player is more like integrated with the ensemble, or like an answer to the ensemble, or a shadow of it kind of. And then you have this like standalone cello moment that is very quiet and all pizzicato and has a lot of open strings, and the open strings and the specific pitches of them seem very important throughout the piece, and they kind of culminate in that cello movement, and it's all very interesting and defies your expectations kind of. And I think one of the more interesting things about it was how the accordion's an equal temperament, but it can still sustain. So its gestures can very closely match the string quartet, but it can't match the tuning at all. And when the string quartet is playing these quarter tone chords with equally tempered notes added by the accordion, I'm thinking of movement 4. It's really fantastic sounding, and I think there's a lot that could be explored there. Okay, so my thoughts on these 29 string quartets. This collection wasn't... Obviously, I didn't carefully curate this thing. Let me pull it up, actually. So these were the scores that I just happened to have. And this was not a carefully curated kind of thing. But... and I do think that some string quartets that have been very important to my development, like the George Friedrich Haas quartets, were not represented here. But all the same, I think we hit some of the big staples of the repertoire, like the Lachenmann and the Bartók. And we also got to hear a lot of novel pieces that don't get performed a lot. I'm thinking mostly of the 4 Mexican composers whose quartets we explored in detail. There was 5 quartets of Mario Lavista, 3 quartets of Herman Romero that we looked at, 2 quartets by Ana Lara, and then 3 pieces with string quartet by Maldonado. About half of the list. So it's kind of interesting having half of the list these 4 Mexican composers who were all very interesting and good in their own way. And then the other half of the list was just sort of like classics and random things. The next series I want to do is Puro Ensemble, which is a new music ensemble. It's always been a new music ensemble. It was only invented 100 years ago, and its repertoire, I'm in my mind, is very different than what I just listened to here over the past month. So, yeah, that was that.